Welcome back to Fast Market on the TD Ameritrade Network. I'm Tom White, joined by my co-host Kevin Hinks. But let's bring in our next guest, and that's going to be Landon Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio.com. Thanks for joining us again today, Landon.
Hey, good to be here. Thank you.
All right, so we're talking Etsy, and I kind of wanted to hit on this one. It's down 20% so far this year, off over 40% from its all-time highs just about a month and a half ago. What's going on with Etsy? Because consumers seem strong, but this stock is not.
Yeah, I tell you what, I was really happy when Etsy was up around 300. This is a company that LikeFolio has been recommending for quite a while. We've been bullish on it for a lot of reasons for a long time. And maybe the stock just got a little ahead of itself. It's pulling back with the markets here, but it's doing so in a very aggressive way. And so it's, the way that I see this, and I'll back this up with data. I kind of see this as a buying opportunity. Again, we're continuing to be bullish on Etsy. We see a lot of good things coming out of it. Obviously, the shutdown and all of that was good for this company. As people could not go out and shop at stores, they started to discover different ways to not only shop for themselves, but also to shop for other people and buy gifts. And that's one of the big things that Etsy does really well is personalization and gifts. And so when you look at that, it's actually up about 59% versus 2 years ago. So when people are talking about using Etsy for those personalized gifts, which is really nice. Now it's down year over year, of course, but there was obviously there was a big bump that they're competing against last year. But what's great is that shows that there's some stickiness. So people were forced into using different ways of buying things, and this has stuck around. This actually is supported by their report on their quarterly report last quarter when they talked about their retention. So it was normally about 43% of buyers who bought last year buying 2 or more gifts, and now it's up to 56%. So from 43 up to 56. We're supporting that with this data here showing that personalization is up versus 2019. So again, it's sticking around. App usage is up significantly versus 2019. It's over double. And they've become the #5 shopping app inside of the App Store. So you can see here that, it's that stickiness. No, they didn't hold everything that they gained in 2020, but I don't know that many companies could. They're competing against reopening now, but they've got a lot of people who use their product for the first time, who used their site and bought things and were happy, got very high happiness levels, and who are sticking around. So we're seeing that not only are we getting more buyers in, we're actually getting more sellers in. What's interesting is we're seeing sellers grow at a rate faster than buyers. So the number of buyers are up about 38% year over year. The number of sellers are up about 100% year over year. So buyers are going to have more things to choose from, and as a seller, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to compete. But those buyers are coming in. They've got about 96 million buyers buying from about 7.5 million sellers. So they've got really big numbers. They've got large numbers to scale. They take I think it's around 17 or 18% cut on the sales. They've got a fantastic business model, and they're unique. It's tough to say who does Etsy compete against. I'd say the closest might be eBay, but just because everything is so personalized and it's just unique on Etsy, I think it's a little bit difficult to make that comparison to eBay. I'd say that's probably the closest. The next would maybe be Amazon, but they compete against everybody. So when you look at those competing against each other and you put them on this scatter plot, which you guys have seen before, that x-axis is growth and purchase intent, so you want to be to the right. The y-axis is consumer happiness, so you want to be at the top. Top right is where you want to be, and that's where Etsy finds itself when you compare it to these two competitors. So, for all these reasons, we are continuing to be bullish on Etsy. And I would argue that this move from around 300 down to 175 is a buying opportunity. I love what they're looking at long term, and the only real downside that they have right now is they're competing against reopening. But again, they've shown off their ability to be sticky and to retain new customers that they gained in 2020 and 2021. So I do like them moving forward, and this could be a good buying opportunity.
Kev, you there? If not, I'll go ahead, Landon, with my question. I think we might have lost Kevin here a little bit. But Landon, if you look at what happened with the supply constraint issues during the holiday shopping season, that's one of the things that I was kind of focused on, because it seemed like a lot more consumers switched over to maybe go into Etsy because with the expectations that they couldn't get their things on time or their products that they wanted were out of stock, and you get a personalized gift going into the holiday season. Have you seen that uptick, or is that one of the reasons you're seeing an uptick in mentions and usage mentions going into the holidays?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, so that was huge in the initial supply chain problem of 2020, and this last one's the same thing. Just like you talked about, if you want to buy someone sort of the traditional gift that everyone else is out shopping for, it can be difficult depending on what you're looking for because of supply chain issues. But if you're buying from somebody who's literally handcrafting something, they have it in stock. They're ready to sell it. And that's why you're able to get that out there and get those shipped to you in a very quick way. So I think that Etsy benefited from not only the lockdowns where people were forced to go online and buy things online, but also they benefited from supply chain issues. So as long as those continue, I think that the buyers are going to get on there and find some seller who's managed to create something either from scratch or from existing supply chain where there's not a problem and put their unique spin on it and get it out to you, because you're dealing with a person who has the thing in hand as opposed to, trying to go through some of these really large companies that have supply chain issues. So I think that's definitely a benefit. And, who knows how long the supply chain issues will continue, but it's going to benefit Etsy as it does.
Cav, are you ready?
I hope you guys can hear me now.
Yep, we got you.
You guys can hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, great. So Landon, my question was before, when you find yourself in a market like this, right? So many stocks are oversold. Like Etsy is one of those in that group, right? You can see the RSI is extremely low. But when you think of all these stocks that are oversold, you can go Zoom, you can do Peloton, you could do Teladoc, you could do DocuSign, you can look at all these companies that had incredible runs and have come down major percentages. Where do you rank a company like Etsy in terms of, because one of the questions is, if the market recovers and all these stocks recover, all of them are going to do well. Is this stock beaten up as far as it's been one of the better values in a group of those stocks that have been beaten up? When you've got money to put into maybe one or several of these, Landon, is this one of the better values?
That's a great question, because when you find yourself like this, a lot of people are overcome by fear and you want to pull back, but maybe this is the time to go against the herd and look for the value plays. So of the ones that you mentioned, I think that we've seen data from LikeFolio data on Zoom and Peloton that kind of shows that, they were a little bit of a COVID one-hit wonder, and things have gone away for them. Sure. They don't have the stickiness that you would have hoped for. We were bullish into that run, but then the data's really pulled back. I think Teladoc solves a problem and is retaining customers, and it has a potential to continue to increase, whereas Peloton and Zoom do not. I think that they need to do something different to really to make a comeback. But Etsy, the data shows that everybody who uses this likes it. They're coming back. They're spending more. They're getting actually 20% more revenue per buyer than they were last year. So they're getting more buyers. They're getting more sellers. They're doing a fantastic job. So all the data that we have shows that while just like the other three that you mentioned, they all benefited from COVID, I would say that Teladoc and Etsy the most, is actually showing that it can hold those gains. It can hold the stickiness and has convinced people, hey, this is a product or service that you need to continue using post-pandemic, post-lockdown, even after the supply chain issues. So of the four, I'd say Etsy is the biggest value here.
Yeah, and I think if you look at that jobs data that came out on Friday, Landon, that might be reflective of people opening more shops. You said that, we know that they've got over 96 million users, right? But then you said the number of sellers is only about 7 million. That'll probably start going higher as the quits are at record numbers. So maybe that'll start going up. But if you look at, your data based on this, you guys are still in the bullish camp on this name based on what you're seeing?
Yeah, we still are. We're still bullish in this, not only long-term, but also short-term. If they reported tomorrow, which they don't, they report in, I think, February 2nd. We've got them at a plus 33 right now if the earnings were coming out right now. So we've got a positive stance on the short term for Etsy, but definitely on the long term. Everything is continuing to look positive for them. And, obviously, because we've recommended this so much, I really liked it when it was at 300. Our clients loved it at 300. But now at 175, it feels like a deal to me. I mean, I really do think that, barring any kind of market meltdown, which no stock is going to be immune to, but if the markets can kind of find their footing, I think Etsy is going to be one of those that has a really good chance of bouncing back as they continue to post strong numbers.
All right, great stuff as always from the data that you bring to us, Landon. Appreciate it, and have a great day.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
All right, that's Landon Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio.com, joining us with the data on Etsy.